All right, we've got the curve y equals 1 plus 1 over 2x, where x cannot be 0. So thinking about this, if x were 0, I would get 1 over 2 times 0, which would mean dividing by 0. So this is my domain here, that x is not equal to 0. So let's come down and look at our questions. Find the value of the x-intercept. Well, the x-intercept is at y equals 0. So I'm going to plug in 0 for y. 1 plus 1 over 2x. And now I'm going to subtract 1 to the other side. So now I can either think about the value that makes this true or keep solving my equation. To keep solving my equation, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2x. So negative 2x equals 1. And now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. X is negative 1/2. So my x-intercept is negative 1/2, comma 0. Since I already see a graph down here, I'm going to go ahead and add my x-intercept straight away. So here's negative 1/2, 0, put on my x-intercept. All right, the equation of the vertical asymptote. So vertical lines, remember, point up and down. Vertical lines have the equation x equals. We already know that x cannot be 0, so x equals 0 must be my vertical asymptote. I'm going to go ahead and put this in. The other way I could do that is by looking at my graph. And I'm going to do that with my calculator. So I'm going to use my calculator to help me. We've got sketch, and we're told our domain is negative 2 to 4, and I can see that my range is negative 2 to 5. So I'm going to use that to help me. So y equals, let me move this out of the way, 1 plus 1 divided by, now I have to divide by that whole 2x, so I'm going to make sure to put it in parentheses. And now I'm going to go to my window. My x's are going to go from negative 2 to 4. And we can see that we're counting by halves. And my y's go from negative 2 to positive 5. And those are counting by ones. All right, there's my x-intercept at negative 1/2. Here's my horizontal asymptote. I see that I'm getting closer and closer to 1, but not crossing it. So let's look at our table of values. Table of values. So we can see that when x equals 0, we have error over here. Well, that's telling me where my vertical asymptote is. So x equals 0 error tells me my vertical asymptote. Looking at my y values, I'm getting closer and closer to 1, but not actually hitting 1. Remember, if I want to jump down quickly in my table, I can go second window, and now I can say start my table at 0. And now I can look as I go up, I'm getting closer and closer to 1 from the positive side. So let's look at that graph again. So there's my asymptote. I'm going to come in and draw that in. So that's at 1. Again, if you're drawing this, you're going to use a ruler, please. And now let's plug some points in to help make our graph a bit more accurate. So I'm going to come back into my table and pull this over. All right, so I can see when x is 1, the y value is 1.5. I can see when x is 2, it's 1.25. When x is 3, I'm at 1.16, so getting closer and closer. We know that it's going to go up this way. Similarly, on this side, when we were looking at the negative values, we saw that it was getting closer to 1 from the bottom. So our values were closer to 1 but always less than 1, whereas here they're closer to 1 but always above 1. So that's what my graph looks like. Try to draw smoother curves than I did, but you get the idea.